Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Today's video is brought to us by the United States Concealed Carry Association. The USCCA has a lot of education and training for a lot of new and gun owners alike. There's a lot of information on their website made available to everybody, and there's a lot of training on there, for members. Check them out down below, uscca.com/G&G, and if you do become a member, it will help you in your endeavor to protect yourself and others because you will get self-defense liability insurance. And that will lead us into our first story here. We got three things we're going to hit on today, but thank you to USCCA for being a big supporter of Guns and Gadgets. I want to remind everybody today is Tuesday. What is the date today? Oh, Vegas killed me. Today's the 25th of January, and today the San Jose, California City Council will be taking up a historic vote. They're looking to become the very first city in the nation to require gun owners to pay a tax and to have insurance. Now, I do know as of right now, well, leading up to it, when this has been in the works for about 2 years now, and the City Council unanimously voted to have this go forward a couple months ago, but there is one City Council woman who says she will vote against it, but that's because she's going to be running for mayor, so see through the smoke. Guys and gals, put pressure on your city council members if you live in San Jose, and that vote is happening today. So I do know that there are a couple pro-2A organizations who will sue once this vote happens, if it does get voted in, and I have every belief that it will, but there will be action, and once things are announced, I will let you know who you need to support because they will be supporting you. So that's number one. Number two is we are waiting for the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case to come out that the Supreme Court is hearing. And we know it's not going to be until about June before their final decision comes down because it is believed to be groundbreaking. It's going to be a landmark case, and they typically let those flow to the people when their session ends. There's been some things that we need to talk about here. If you remember the last case that the Supreme Court was considering with the city of New York and their licensing scheme about you could have a license, but you couldn't go to a gun range outside of the city limits. And if you were a celebrity or a judge, you could get one. But if you were Joe Schmo from Mumbelow, you couldn't get one. And while the Supreme Court was considering the case and before their oral arguments, the city of New York went and changed their laws so they no longer violated the Constitution. And then they were allowed to get away with it because by the time the oral arguments happened, the case was moot and it was then dismissed. Well, the state of New York is trying the exact same thing. Why do they do this? Because they know they're guilty, they know they're violating our rights, and they think that they're smarter than the Supreme Court. Now, I hope that this catches up to them, and I hope it bites them in their ass. But the state of New York has proposed an assembly bill, which you see here on the screen. Now, the bill is short. I have the entire thing here on the screen. It was submitted on January 10th. And let's read this together, and it should infuriate you just like it did me. This was introduced by Assemblyman Simon, and the bill is, again, 8684, Assembly Bill 8684. This has everything to do with creating new catch-all laws for criminal possession of a firearm. Skip right down to line 4 with me. A person is guilty of criminal possession of a firearm when he or she, 1, possesses any firearm, or 2, lawfully possesses a firearm prior to the effective date of Chapter 1 of the laws of 2013, subject to the registration requirements of Subdivision 16A of Section 400 of this chapter, and knowingly fails to register such firearm pursuant to such subdivision. Or, and here's where the changes are, 3, knowingly has in his or her possession a rifle, a shotgun, or a firearm in or upon the following locations. A, any form of public transportation. If you have not ever visited New York, it is probably the most dense public transit city in the country. They just don't want you to have guns, period. So if your normal means of conveyance is the subway, the train, the bus, cab, or Uber, well, they're going to take away your constitutional right to keep and bear arms, the same one that they don't give you in the first place. Now, any form of public transportation includes, but is not limited to, railroads, ride-sharing services, paratransit services, subways, buses, air travel, taxis, or any other public transportation service. B, food and drink establishments. So not only will you not be able to travel while protecting yourself, and if you've ever been in New York, or if you've been watching, I don't know, every news station in the world lately about New York since the Democrats burned everything down, session leading up to the elections, and then there's soft on crime, no bail, release everybody no matter what they did program, you'll know that this is where a majority of the crime happens. But there's more. C, large gatherings, which for the purpose of this section shall mean a gathering together of 15 or more persons for amusement, athletic, civic, dining, educational, entertainment, patriotic, political, recreational, religious, social, or similar purposes. That, folks, is every type of crowd you could possibly imagine that would happen in New York. Yankees-Mets game, Knicks game, church, Pro 2A rallies, weddings, anything you can think of where 15 people or more will be, New York is about to say, no, 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 not for you. Now, what will they do should this happen? Well, the criminal possession of a firearm is a Class E felony, and this act shall take effect on the 19th day after it shall have become law. So New York is trying again to circumvent their ass kicking by the United States Supreme Court. It's coming. So they're trying to make it illegal to carry in all these places. Why? Because when Heller was decided, there's certain language that every gun controller, every gun control community, governor, city council member, Bloomberg, everybody, they're all harping on the phrase about reasonable restrictions. Reasonable restrictions means, hey, this is reasonable. I mean, why should people have a gun on them in the movie theater? I mean, nobody's ever been shot en masse in a movie theater, right? Oh, wait, bad example. Why should people have a gun while they're dining in New York, especially if they're like on a sidewalk dining establishment? Because nobody's ever been robbed at gunpoint. Oh, wait. No, that's happened a lot too. Why should anybody have a gun to protect themselves while they're in the subway? Because nobody's ever been stabbed or shot in subways. Oh, wait. You know what? We just don't like guns, period. That's why we're doing it. And that's the truth, guys and gals. These restrictions that they're putting in cover the most violent places in New York City. I have a lot of family in New York City. I have a lot of friends in New York City. And this will make you all sitting ducks. So you all should be barking about this, letting people know about this, because I'm guaranteeing most of the people in the city are not aware of this assembly bill. Most of the people in New York State are not aware of this assembly bill, and it's incumbent on us, guys and gals. That's why we do this. That's why we are this community. I need you to like the video so more people see it, and share the video so more people can see it as well. That's the only way this news is getting out. So that's 2, okay? We have San Jose, California, and the link will be floating above for that video. We have this new bill for the state of New York to try to circumvent this decision that's coming down. This, I predict, an ass-kicking for the gun controllers in the May issue states. And then we have what the new mayor of New York City just did. Now, the new mayor of New York City, tongue twister, his name is Eric Adams, and he ran on being tough on crime because crime stats in New York have risen at just a mind-boggling rate. Because who would have thought that when you take away restrictions on criminals and you don't go hard on them, you don't put them in jail, just let them, oh, you murdered somebody? All right, yeah, sign this, you'll go to court one day, you promise? Pinky swear? All right, now go back out into the streets and maybe you'll do something again. Who would have foreseen that that would cause issues with crime? Democrats don't. But so Eric Adams ran on the fact that he was going to be tough on crime. He's a Democrat. Tough on crime, and he won. And he just released, thanks to my friend in New York, you know who you are, who got me this form, he just released his new plan on how they're going to stop this violent crime. Here on the screen, you see the blueprint to end gun violence, and this was just put out by the city of New York. Now, the first page I'll put up is page 5. You can see what they're going to say is the New York Police Department will deepen its work by enhancing existing public safety units with the neighborhood safety programs, putting more cops on patrol, expanding the partnership between NYPD and New York State Police, adding more detection efforts in the city, in the entry points of the iron pipeline, that's the gun pipeline they call it, It's a bunch of BS, guys. And now what I'm going to show you is the meat and potatoes of it. Now, the last section is broken up over 2 pages, and here it is on the screen. It's the federal government. This is what New York City is trying to force to happen. And it's a large city in the U.S. It has a lot of influence, whether you want to believe it or not. It has a lot of influence on what happens as far as policy. And I'm going to save you the BS. We're just going to go right down the bullet points. We must take the common sense step of passing universal background checks for gun purchases. The universal background check is a registry, and it takes away the person-to-person sale. If I can't sell my own private property, then I'm not really a free man, am I? If the government can dictate what I can do with my property. The next one is must pass the long overdue national ban on assault weapons. Here we go again. Must pass legislation to make gun trafficking a federal crime. Newsflash, bobos, it already is. You just don't prosecute anybody anymore for it. We must increase penalties for those directly involved in moving guns across state lines and the organizers of gun trafficking rings. Again, you go soft on criminals, which is why you say that, because those laws already exist. We must increase penalties for those making straw purchases or buying firearms from someone legally prohibited from doing so. Legal gun owners don't do any of this stuff. None, because we're not criminals. Get it? I can't make it any more clear for you. We must mobilize the Department of Justice against the proliferation of ghost guns, and that rule will be coming out soon. Stay tuned to the channel. We must repeal the Tie-Hart Amendment, which has weakened law enforcement's efforts to prevent gun crimes and limit the public's ability to study gun violence and trafficking. That has everything to do with getting all of the records on how a gun, a crime gun, was obtained, who was the previous owner and stuff like that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Trust me when I tell you, there's no information in there for anything other than to be twisted and used to proliferate gun control. Trust me on this one. So there you have 3 huge things of gun control, huge portions of gun control that are happening right now. If you're in San Jose, you got to make a point to get down to the city council meeting. You should have already been chirping at these city councilors the whole time. If you've waited until now, you've kind of screwed up, but you still have time. Get a hold of these people. Tell them what you'll do if they vote it in, and be stern. Be firm and stern, but don't cross the line and get red flagged to California. New York State going around the Constitution again in anticipation of getting their asses handed to them by the Supreme Court. And then now the New York City mayor begging Joe Biden again for all of the things that he couldn't pass through Congress. This is a frustrating one. Guys and gals, if you got anything out of this, please hit the like button and subscribe down below. If you like this type of information, Guns and Gadgets is where you'll see it on a daily basis. Sometimes I put out more than 1 video a day. I know a lot of people aren't getting notifications, so please just check the channel every single day and you'll see if I put out a new video. Again, sometimes I put out 2 or 3 a day because it just doesn't stop. It never stops, and it's up to us to get the information out to the rest of the folks that are on our side of the fight here, and I count on you to do that. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate each and every single one of you spending time here on Guns and Gadgets. I know how valuable your time is, and I love each and every single one of you. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a gun to keep you, your friends, your family, your community safe. And remember that a gun on your hip is more effective than a cop on the phone. Take care, everybody.